And please turn on your cameras.
Am I clear?
Yeah, you are audible. Krish, let's start.
Welcome to this week's policy discussion. My name is Krish Yadav, and I will be starting off our conversations today on our current topic, health and hygiene in Indian schools, our current status, and the way forward. And I hope we come to a variety of different thoughts and ideas as we go along, learn more about the topic from everybody who takes part in the discussion. To give a broad overview, health and hygiene is an often overlooked issue in Indian schools. While private schools and schools in metropolitan areas often never have problems with them, that is often not the case as they are heavily neglected in rural areas with bathrooms and other places in complete disarray. That said, I'd like to start us off by inviting up Shantu, since he's already given his name in the chat, to take the stage and start us off. But before we do that, I would just like to remind everyone to keep their cameras on while speaking and keep the 2-minute limit in mind as they do speak.
Hi everyone, good evening. Am I audible?
Are you perfectly clear?
So I'm Shantanu Srivastava. I'm from Singrauli, Madhya Pradesh. Currently, I'm pursuing Masters in Public Health from JSS Medical College, Mysore. And I have got selected for policy research and advocacy internship. And my team leader is Shani. Do we need to add more thing?
No, you can start off by talking about the topic for today.
Actually, I missed the thing. I was setting up my camera. Can you please repeat the topic? I'll just start.
Yeah, it's health and hygiene in Indian schools, the current state, and our way forward.
Okay. So, the health and hygiene in current government schools in Karnataka, where I am basically located at, and being a healthcare and a public health professional, we used to have a postings, and I can see that the hygiene maintenance in the school are not up to the level where we can justify how students can maintain their health status at a normal range, because the cleanliness is not at all, it is not at all seen. Plus how how the government is appointing the professionals who can look after the sanitation process is also not clear. I'm not aware about other states, but here in Karnataka I can clearly see that the sanitation process apart from school is going on because it is under the Department of Health, but the overall view of school is not uh, uh, like acceptable. Hello, I got stuck.
Okay, so do you want to add in? Yeah, go ahead, Krish.
You're perfectly clear. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm not sure if I'm audible to you guys. My network is stuck.
You're very clear. Your voice is clear, and so is your video.
Cool.
Feel free to continue if you want to.
That's all.
Okay, thanks a lot for your thoughts. I'd like to request everybody who has joined.
Okay, so I think Krish is facing some. Krish, I think you're facing some internet issues because your voice is cutting again and again. So just check that out once. Yeah. So till then, anybody else who wants to speak about the topic? Okay, so I'll start us off with a bit of an introduction about this. I feel that not like health and apart, when we talk about health and education as a whole, we're talking about the importance of health and the importance of hygiene in schools, especially if we're talking about whether there are proper sanitation facilities in schools, whether there are proper whether the kitchens are clean or not, because all of this is a part of hygiene. So we should include all of this and check, and the government should ensure that these parameters are fulfilled. So if we talk about for example, there was this scheme started under Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, wherein there we had the government schools had started, building up toilets for girls, so that there are less absenteeism and dropout ratio of girls from schools. So in my opinion, I particularly feel that health is not just about mental well-being and physical well-being. It is also about ensuring that the facilities and facilities are adequate and proper wherever the students are studying. So yeah, Ria, do you want to talk? Do you want to add in?
Yes, I'll start.
Go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. So my name is Ria Pawar from Policy Advocacy and Research Team. And today I would like to talk about health and hygiene in schools, but I would like to kind of take a different approach. So, like, instead of maintaining the hygiene and working on that, suggesting policy issues on that, I think we should focus more on teaching the children how to be hygienic, how to maintain their personal hygiene, teaching girls about menstrual hygiene, which is very crucial for them to maintain their health and live a healthy life ahead. So I think that cleanliness is really poorly taught in not only Indian government schools, but in every school in general. Hygiene is like it makes up a very small part of our syllabus. And I think it is something about which all the students should be aware, and they should be made aware not only from their families but also from the teaching environment. And as for the students from the marginalized communities, like students who study in government schools who are from below poverty line, or some other kind of unprivileged section of the society, I think it is very much important for those children to receive education related to hygiene, because they are not taught this kind of stuff through their families. So yeah, that's all. Thank you.
A great point here, because we need to ensure that they should actually learn how to stay healthy and hygienic throughout their life, and it is an important aspect which is being neglected in the in I think in schooling in general. So we should learn, teachers should teach how to maintain their basic hygienic stuff, how to actually, if we're talking about female menstruation, so menstrual waste should be properly discarded. So that should be an important aspect, how to ensure menstrual hygiene. These all aspects should be taught in the school, which I feel that the Indian education system is lacking. So government should take up different initiatives. Government did take up an initiative wherein they had taught girls about menstrual hygiene, but it got dropped off despite the huge investment because of improper implementation. So I think, yeah, definitely I agree on that. I think we have Raj Lakshmi next. Raj Lakshmi, do you want to say something?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Myself, Rajlakshmi Deshmukh. I am from Pune, and I am part of policy research and advocacy team. The previous speakers have covered a lot of points, and I would like to add that toilets have been made, the infrastructure has been provided to the schools, but the thing is they are not being maintained. So you need some specific staff for that its maintenance, and also the students should know how to maintain it after using the toilets. And also there should be, I guess, there should be a provision for some supervision of these things, that the things are provided, but is the implementation going on correctly, how it should be? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Yeah, so I totally agree that I think that when we talk about creation of toilets under Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, one of the major things is that the funding was not adequately, distributed. It was not. It was not. Let's. It's not about distribution. It was more that it did not reach the grassroots level. So since it did not reach the grassroots level, it did not actually create that much of an impact. Even though the impact was huge, it did not reach out where the government actually wanted it to reach, especially the rural areas, because of red tapeism, corruption, and other stuff. So yeah, I agree that mismanagement and improper implementation is one of the major key factors that actually affects the policy making, in especially in terms of education and health. So yeah, I think we have Harshit. Harshit, do you want to say something? Vineet. Okay, so Krish, yeah, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, sure. Apologies in the start. I think my internet started breaking off, and whatever I said wasn't clear enough. I just spent was giving a broadish overview of the topic we had in mind. Like I mentioned, health and hygiene in Indian schools, the current status and the way forward. I think we all realize that at least in metropolitan areas and private schools, it's not really a big issue, which is why you all too often don't see it highlighted. Whereas if you go into more rural areas which do not have as much communication and say into how schools are run, you see such facilities being neglected. Bathrooms, classrooms often not even being cleaned to a proper extent. I think it's important for people to point such problems out and work for ways to rectify them, because it's a very basic need that a student is able to visit a clean bathroom while at school and have a clean working and studying environment as well.
Definitely, just like we were discussing about toilets. But in my opinion, I think moving on from the toilets, we can actually see the current situation and scenario when we look at the, schooling and the education system after the, COVID pandemic, because the reality, what we stand and how we were was, I think our health system was actually, tested during the pandemic. But despite that, when we see that the schools are open, with the slowly opening of the economy, when the schools started opening, there was this initial breakout that with when kids started going to school, there was a sudden increase in the number of cases. So what do you guys think about that? Shantanu, do you have a perspective? What would the government do? What are the government initiatives that the government would take up, or what possible perspectives do you have about the current government initiatives that were started?
Okay, so as you mentioned about Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, where the government is making toilets also, so that is not fully functional across the nation. There are some corruptions going on, and the buildings they are not completed yet. There's no authority to have a check. So we can just modify that policy like we do for the health, like for the TB. We have multiple repeated cycle for the improvement. Same we can do here. We can make some good law and some policies that can add up with the current policy which is implemented. Plus, I wanted to add on the menstrual waste, that disposal waste which we talk about. What I can see here is people are not much aware about menstrual cup. Okay, so and the thing which I noticed from the Jan Aushadhi Kendra, are you all aware about that? That government ka shop is there, medical shop.
Yeah.
So there it is available at a very reasonable cost, around 150 200 rupees, and that menstrual cup goes for like 5 years. You can use it, reusable, and that will keep the waste also in a less term, and then hygiene will be also improved for women and girls. So in that scenario, we can have some policies where we can help the generation to know about its usage and how they can start using it, because they are not aware, plus they are also terrified from being using it.
Yeah. I think, yeah, adding on to what you have said, Shantanu, one of the major, like, menstrual cups is like the most eco-friendly way if we talk about,
Yes.
menstrual hygiene, menstrual sanitation, or even menstrual, this waste or something. But the thing is that a lot of people, so the thing with menstrual cups is that people have a lot of taboos around them. Okay,
Yes.
the
Yes.
taboos are not just prevailing in the rural areas, but they're also prevailing in the urban areas.
Urban areas.
So if we are not able to get these menstrual cups in the urban areas, it will be bit difficult about getting them in the rural areas. So because we don't have sanitary napkins even in the rural areas. So we need to start off somewhere. As for the Jan Aushadhi part, yeah, I agree that if they are being provided at the government shops at a subsidized rate, but we're not really sure about the quality of the menstrual cups because we don't know what sort of plastic they're made of. So I think that is one of the things that there are a bit apprehensions about these menstrual cups. But I agree that the government has started taking up plans. For example, they've started, this scheme called Sarthi, and then there was another pad scheme wherein they're providing eco-friendly pads at a lower subsidized rate because eco-friendly pads are really expensive if we talk in general. So government is taking up schemes for tackling the menstrual hygiene part, but probably not the menstrual waste part. So it should actually look into both simultaneously so that we're also providing menstrual menstrual hygiene awareness as well as solving the issue of menstrual waste in general in the country, because again a lot of plastic is being dumped by you know due to menstrual waste. So I definitely agree on that. I think another scheme that we can talk about, so another scheme we can talk about in this particular section is Ayushman Bharat, and not just Ayushman Bharat. I think we can also talk about Indradhanush, which is providing vaccinations. So, what is your take on this? About this. But before we move on to that, I think we have Neerja with us here. Neerja, would you like to express your perspectives?
Am I okay? Am I audible and visible?
Yeah, you're audible and visible.
So I think as you were talking about menstrual products, I actually had a scenario happening right in front of me where someone related to me uh, was in charge of this, menstrual hygiene products, whatever, to provide them to the students in a government rural school. And they actually did not distribute it, but they hoarded it for themselves. And the staff, the teacher staff, actually, took all those supplies and they just going to the needy girls. Instead of that happening, they actually took them back home. So I think that is a loophole that is happening, that even though government is providing or fueling these schemes, these places with resources and with supplies, there is corrupt people, and they are taking those resources back home. Secondly, what we require is for health and hygiene, I think we require some volunteerism, which can be incentivized, from the health sector, healthcare professionals. We should have I don't know, at some intern level or even at some senior doctors that level, we should have them come over to rural schools, government schools, and then not just impart education about hygiene, but also do routine checkups, screenings of students free of cost. I think that is happening, but there's still a need to mainstream that or do that on a bigger scale. uh, Apart from that, I think physical education, if exercising and that is done at a mainstream level, or that is broadened a bit, because we tend to ignore that or neglect physical education as a part of whole health scenario. So I think that can help even in policy making in a big way.
I definitely agree on that, especially on the fact that it's not just about sanitation in general. I would just like to add on that a lot of schools, this like irrespective of them being in urban or rural areas, there the the what do you call the attending doctors that are present in schools are not actually qualified enough to provide them with the first aid treatment that is necessary. So that is another issue that needs to be tackled in this particular area. So yeah. And another thing, that one of the most successful schemes is again the midday meal scheme, because it actually provides proper nutritional food to them, to the children, to ensure that they're healthy enough to come back to school. Yeah. So Farhana, are you there? Okay, so she might be facing some internet issues, but that's fine. But yeah, so yeah, moving back onto the question that I had done, that I had put in the discussion, was that what are your thoughts about Ayushman Bharat, and what do you think does that help out with the education system of the country? Anybody could start.
Can I? Hello.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So Ayushman Bharat, what we are aware of, that it is giving a 5 lakh health benefit to the family who are below poverty line. It's for a whole family. Okay. So as we know that health is a state of complete physical, mental and social well-being. So if a person is healthy, it will be creating an impact on their education. So if a family is healthy, a student will definitely go to school and will try to improve his or her education and can get to a level where he or she can maintain the quality of life by their own earnings by getting a good job.
I think a well structured point raised here. And I also feel that just like we were talking about the pandemic phase, especially, I think the best way to reach all the kids was providing vaccinations through government schools. So I think that was a good initiative started out by the government to ensure that proper vaccination drives are being held, so that each and every student or each and every child is being vaccinated, to ensure that they are being vaccinated properly. So anybody else who wants to add something towards this topic, towards this discussion? Okay, fine, no issues. Just a minute. Yeah. So I think that we can conclude this discussion with the fact that there are still a lot of loopholes present in the health and hygiene system, which actually, collaborates with the Indian education system, and the government needs to focus on it more. So health needs to be promoted properly, in the schools in our country. And like Ria said, that children should be taught how to maintain basic hygiene, so that they are able to lead a healthy and quality life. So thank you guys once again. Yeah, go
Can
ahead,
we
Shantanu.
discuss on Mission Indradhanush and impact of not getting vaccinated on time and the resulted on malnutrition and effect on health? Sorry,
Oh, we
on
can.
education.
Sure, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to know the views from you guys that if a child is not getting vaccinated on time, like the Mission Indradhanush, what it is giving is it is giving a free vaccination every alternate week and then till 24 months. So if a child is missing that, is there a chance of getting malnourished? How nutrition is getting affected, and that how that nourished undernourished child will be performing in a normal day in comparison to a normal child.
Shantanu, I think, does anybody want to answer this question?
I think just as a broad overview, vaccination isn't really a big issue when only a few children miss it, because I think herd immunity is an idea that a lot of people talked about for COVID, and specifically work out for COVID, yes, but it's something that has worked out for diseases in the past. It's not the perfect solution, of course, but I think in extreme cases, it's usually what works out. So I don't think it's a major issue.
So I'm not really sure about how it is related to malnutrition, but when we talk about vaccinations as a whole, it is basically, what vaccination is basically getting the child immune from a particular disease. So if we talk about polio vaccinations, we actually get them from a younger age so that we're actually, our immune system is strong enough to fight that particular disease. So,
Yes.
which is why we are given that from such a young age. So I feel that I'm not really sure how malnourishment, how malnutrition or
Yeah.
malnourished is actually related to it.
Let's take an example of polio only. A child has missed the vaccination of polio. Now, polio virus will create some impact on his or her body. Just take an example that polio has happened, poliomyelitis has happened. Now, the nutrition of that child, the growth of that child, the mental status of that child may get affected. Okay, so if a nutrition is getting disturbed, definitely a child gonna face the malnourishment. Either it can be a hyper state or a hypo state. So that will create some impact on his or her body. Now, if it is creating an impact on his or her mental status, he'll not be able to focus or cope up with the current scenario of getting a proper education. Okay. So I was just getting round of all these pointers.
I wanted to add something. I had a concern, like you're talking about malnourished, but I feel vaccine should not be considered one of the reasons as malnourishment because we have a lot of things already, like the pregnancy care of a mother, whether the mother is working during her pregnancy or the mother has just started working post her pregnancy. These are much more major issues. Vaccination is just a very minute part of it. So why are we even talking about an issue when we have a lot of major issues at 100 level to think about? Like, so malnourishment, there are a lot of other issues right now. Like in Karnataka, there was it is still one of the states which has really like high levels of malnourishment. So over there, we had that Pradhan Mantri, I'm not recalling the name, the Yojana, where they used to provide incentives to
EMJ.
pregnant women, right? And that had a lot of shortcomings. And that is one of the reasons for malnourishment. Why are we focusing on a simple, I don't think that we should even consider that issue because it is so minute. We should consider major issues like the mother care, providing nutritional food to children. If the children have access to nutritional food, the poor woman, instead of working just post pregnancy, should focus on reviving the health post pregnancy, number one, and number two, they should be taking care of the children, like breastfeeding and everything, taking care of herself as well. So we should provide on taking, like we should focus on a lot of other things other than just a simple issue related to vaccination. That's it. I have to say.
I want to add one point on this. So if we are analyzing the profile of a malnourished child, we find that that child has missed some of the vaccination schedules. Okay, so this we can consider as a like one of the key factor which has impacted on his or her life. So we can obviously skip that because there are major pointers where mother is not taking proper care, that child's digestion is not proper, where like he is suffering from such disease. But like we cannot completely skip this. I am currently staying in Karnataka, and I used to go to different school for my postings, different PHCs. So I'm able to see that a malnourished child is coming, and then there they at the NRC, National Rehabilitation Center in district hospitals, they are being feeded with the self-prepared food by the doctors and nurses there. So what if we are taking proper care from the first day a child is born, and we are completing every small important measure which is being taken up?
I think this
Yes,
is a
Mohammed.
good question. Yeah, I think this is a good question, and we leave this discussion with this question as a food for thought. So, we'll let you know what the topic for the next discussion is, whether we'll continue this topic or we'll take up a new topic. But we'll just stop this discussion here. Okay, so